right? There comes a time when you're the one, right? Like you have to be that man or that woman that changes the trajectory of their family's lineage, right? So like he said, you got to use your income to build your wealth. Otherwise, it's just going to be a cycle.
When you count the mathematics and look at black people as a nation, there's 233 independent nations on the earth. And out of the 233 independent nations, black people at $1.3 trillion are the 8th richest nation in the world. Yet, we don't have anything in our community that we can call our own. So by the simple fact that we're the 8th richest nation on the earth and we don't have our own educational system, don't feed ourselves, grow our own food, is a sign that we got dollars, but we need some sense. So I said we blame the white man for 95% of our problems, but we still spend 97% of our money with them. That's bass awkward.
Come on now, hold on.
That's
bass ackwards.
That's bass ackwards.
Hey man, like
did y'all catch that? That's bass ackwards.
Bro, you gotta literally understand what he's saying. He's saying that we're not taking any of the money that we're bringing in, and we're not taking any of the community that we're supposed to have and putting it back into black people. We blame white people for everything. Like it's so easy to blame white people for all of our problems, but not take accountability for the things that we're providing into. We're we as black people as a community or as a nation would be the 8th richest country in the world.
It's crazy.
$1.3 trillion. But we spend 97% of what we make back into the same people we blame for everything that we have. Like, how does that make sense?
He said we spend 95% of our time complaining about white men or the white people and spend 97% of our money going back to the 95% of the problems we complain about. That is a crazy stat. To be able to be responsible for $1.3 trillion, he said it's with that stat, right? It's obvious that we have the dollars, but we don't have the sense. We got the dollars, but we don't have the sense.
I think people keep glazing over that statement that knowledge is power. Like making sure that your mind is coming before you start spending, coming before you start building, coming for all of these things, because your mind outlasts everything. Your mind outlasts everything. That's the same thing when they talk about football players when they get older. Their body can't move the same way it is, but their mind has been educated to a different level. Black people as a community, we need to get this up. We need to get this up. We need to start investing in ourselves. We need to start not making just Gucci and Louis and all these different brands the things that we pour into, but making our own brands. Making our own community brands.
Yeah. And you know what? Is this thing on? I'm about to monologue, right? This is a monologue, okay? And when we get our budget up, we're gonna have a close-up on this, right? All right, so look, don't you understand? Like, if you want to go out, cool. Like, I'm not even tripping. Like, I've been there and sometimes I still want to go out too. It's cool, right? Well, let's think about it, right? Let's think of the whole experience of going out, right? All right. Normally people pregame. So the bottles that they drinking, not coming back into our community.
Nah.
The 7-Eleven store or the liquor store that they go buy the bottles from, or the cigars or tobacco or weed, whatever, not going back into our businesses, right? Okay, cool. The Beats pill or the Alexa or whatever stereo you're playing your pregame music on, not going into and back into our community. Cool. The clothes you wearing to even go out, probably not going back into our community, right? And that's just on the male side. For the females, when y'all getting ready, right? The nail salon, right? And it's not racist because you can go outside and you can observe this, okay? When you can have evidence for something that you observe, is not being racist, okay? So the nail salon owned by Asians, okay? The hair weave and the hair products that y'all getting all coming from Asian stores, okay? The pregame food, right? You go to a Chinese place, they selling fried chicken. Don't you know that in the world, I can't remember what war it was, right? But black men had to go over, and I want to say it was in some Asian country, and they would teach them how to make fried chicken wings, right? And teach them how to make the food that we liked, right? Because we were over there, we didn't want to eat their food. Another crazy stat. That's a topic for another time, right? So from the nails, from the manicures, pedicures, from the hairstylists, from not hairstylists, but the weave, right? Everything we ain't even got to the place yet, and no money has been coming back into us. So you mean to tell me no black women know how to do nails? No black women we can't get our own weave. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to go to an Asian store, and we have to go through all of these other 7-Elevens, and a Middle Eastern or somebody overseas, a foreigner, has all of the tobacco shops, right? You want to go get a Black and Mild, right? You going to get it from somebody that's from overseas as a foreigner, right? So then you go to the clubs. We the promoters, but like we've thrown parties before. You ain't getting no real bread from that, right? It's kind of like rinse in, rinse out, right? The same money you put in, you kind of get back and a little bit more. They may give you the door and maybe some of the bar, but like on the whole, like that's the establishment of a foreigner or somebody that doesn't look like us. They own the club, right? So you just kind of like promoting their business for them and bring everybody out, right? But it looks good because we on the flyers and we on the posters, you know what I'm saying? And then after we leave the club and we give them all our money and we pour the bottles out on the couches, right? Then we leave there and now we hungry, right? So you go to a pizza parlor that's probably owned by the Italians, right? Or you go to some other shop or restaurant that's open late that's not owned by us. It's like, bro, the whole experience of going out and nothing comes back to us. Like everything is we just pouring out, right? And I'm not even talking about financial literacy, investing and having real estate and investing in commodities and gold and silver. Like we ain't even there yet. I'm just talking about for us putting on the clothes, getting drunk, going out, spending our money at the club, and then going to eat afterwards. And we ain't seeing none of that.
And y'all got to understand why we're targeted, because we're the most lucrative community.
Come on.
They target us because we spend the most money with them, right? They know, you know what I'm saying? That's why you step in a spot, they saying, my brother, come buy some more.
But for you, my friend.
Yes, bro, come on.
For you, my friend, we do a good
the
price.
most lucrative.
Stop, bro.
We do have $1.3 trillion in money. That's income, though. And that's not wealth. So when the math is calculated, black people only possess less than 2% of the wealth of the United States of America. Income and wealth are two different concepts. Income is the money you earn by exchange of your time or the sale of a good product or service. But wealth is when you exchange that money for something that either keeps value or increases in value over time. Black people...
Bruh. Income and wealth. So I want this concept to really be understood. Like, if you're not listening, listen up. Income and wealth, right? The amount of time you spend getting some money in, right? So the hours you're putting at that 9 to 5, the projects that you're working in, all these things, all the time you're putting in to make that salary, right? Like, people love to brag, like, hey, I just got a job that pay $150. I got a 6-figure job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just got a $1 million contract. You know what I'm saying? But you're not utilizing that money to create wealth. You're not putting it into things that are going to give you your money back. The moment you buy that car, when you drive it off the lot, it depreciates. The moment that you go ahead and buy those clothes and you step and you move the wrong way, you even take it out the box, it depreciates. The moment you go buy certain things, they depreciate. You have to invest in things that are going to build your money back, right? That's why we're trying to get in the stock market. That's why we're buying property. That's why we're buying land, a commodity that there is no replenishment of.
Facts.
Ain't no more land being made unless you're over there working with China because they just throwing stuff in the ocean.
Right.
But realistically, ain't no more land being made. These are things that are being taken from us that you can't utilize. Putting it into art, something that you buy at a couple $1,000s and sell it for that much more. You have to invest your money in certain things that are going to bring it back. Just because you make $150,000 a year, just because you make $200,000 a year, just because you make $1 million a year, if you're not keeping none of it, it don't matter. Because at the end of the time, when you no longer can work that job, when your body and your knees and your back and your legs and your arms don't work the same no more, you no longer got the mind to make more money because your income ain't there. Your wealth ain't there.
Right. Use your income to build your wealth. He hit it on the topic.
Come on.
We are the leaders in unnecessary spending. We buy stuff we don't need from people that we don't like to impress people we don't know. And at the end of the math of the equation, we end up having nothing but a whole bunch of name brand stuff, but never businesses that we can pass down to our children or real estate that increases or keeps its value over time. So we've got income, but we don't have the wealth. That's why I said we've got dollars, but we need some sense. Out of that $1.3 trillion, Brother Lynn, do you know that we spend 20?
Yeah. And like when you hear these numbers, You're like, no way.
No, it's not true.
Like, how can that be true, right? But it's like, we don't even have the opportunity to chase our dreams and chase our goals or put our efforts into our gifts, what we do naturally, because we're so caught in this rat race, right? And to get out of the rat race, somebody's gonna have to be, you're gonna have to be that person for your family that gets your family out of the rat race, right? There comes a time when you're the one, right? Like you have to be that man or that woman that changes the trajectory of their family's lineage, right? So like he said, you got to use your income to build your wealth. Otherwise, it's just going to be a cycle, right? And we're going to keep doing dang on reaction videos to another person talking about it. 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, I don't want my kids to be watching the same video of somebody talking about the income gap and the wealth gap of America because we're doing the same things and not taking heed to it and not changing it.
And I think he touched on a very big topic that some people would like to gloss over. You're buying stuff from people that you don't like to impress people that you don't know. Like,
that don't even care about you.
When is the concept going to be that I need to improve myself and not improve what people view of who I am?
Facts.
Like, y'all are like I said before, put makeup on a zit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me dress it up to make it look good for everybody, but let me not truly be it.
Right.
Come on, y'all.
No, for sure. For sure.
Even the sneaker thing. I was on social media last night. Very interesting. As you see black support eroding from Joe Biden, this is connecting with black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city. So when you have Trump roll out his sneaker line, they're like, wait a minute, this is cool. He's reaching them on a level that defies and is above politics. The culture always trumps politics.
If y'all understood that this clip is from Fox News, you have a person on Fox News talking about how Trump's sneakers is influencing the vote of black people on Fox News. So this isn't just your random person talking on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or on the street that you found. This is somebody on national news trying to formulate a topic or formulate an idea that black voters are influenced because Trump made shoes. And it's cool. It's what we like. This is what we're getting on. This shows you what they think of us, that we're a joke.
All right. It's disappointing, right? And it's like, number one, the shoes are ugly. Like nobody's buying them.
They're terrible.
Right? Number two, for you to think that he's wrong, number one, because we don't care about the shoes. You know what I'm saying? He's wrong. But on a deeper level, like he said, for him to think that the shoes have influenced our approval of a president, it deeply saddens me. And you can tell by the way he's speaking, he thinks that he's on to something.
Yeah, he's definitely, he think he's popping his stuff.
He thinks that he's actually cracking the code by saying how this genius thought of Trump having a shoe is going to get our votes. Are you kidding me right now? Like, we also have to see what's not being said. What's not being said, right? We see what he's saying, but what's not being said? What's not being said is that he believes that black people are only focused on materialistic things, right? And we're very materialistic. So he thinks that some literally gold shiny shoes, we're just gonna be like a dang rabbit, right? And it's like we can't focus and like a squirrel, and it's like, oh, gold shoes, believe in him. Do you know how idiotic that sounds?
Doesn't make sense at all.
That what he didn't say shows us his perspective on our race as a whole.
Come on now.
And Trump understands culture like no politician I've ever seen.
Question for you on that point, though.
Yeah.
Will the people that are excited about the sneakers and excited about Donald Trump, will that translate into them going out and voting for Donald Trump?
Well, anybody willing to put $400 down for a pair of sneakers? Yeah, I think that's commitment and love.
I hope you're right.
It's something. It's affection.
Again, oh, my bad, not to cut you off again, right? He said, anybody willing to put down $400 on sneakers, oh yeah, this is definitely going to affect them. So this even shows deeper from the comments that we said before, that our consumption of certain things, they believe is what our culture is, honestly. He said Trump knows culture better than anybody, right? So he believes the consumption of things that are not a necessity in our life is the culture of a black community. And honestly, that's not him. That's him viewing us in a bad way, right? A lot of the stuff ain't true, but that's also a view that we've progressed because we have displayed that we fall into that trap every time.
No, for sure. And like, there's like the initial reaction where we get ticked off, where it's like, why would he? I can't believe he said that. Up in arms, he deserves to get beat up, right? But like, if you really think about it, that didn't come from anywhere.
Yeah, it didn't.
So like now, there's the moment where somebody says something about you, right, and their delivery might be off, right, but you actually have to assess and be like, okay, wait a minute, is there a reason? What is the reason why he even says that? Then you have to do a mirror. Look in the mirror and reflect and be like, how are we as a people? How are we as a culture?
Yeah.
Are people standing in line and getting shot over a pair of Jordans? If you step on somebody's shoes in the club, will that start a fight?
Yes.
Well, like if you say something about my shoes, right, or you try to rob me and only take my shoes, I know instances, bro, where people get robbed and don't even take their wallet. They'll take their shoes before they take their wallet. You know what I'm saying? Like, so as I think about it, I'm like, that's it's very messed up and an idiotic comment.
Yeah.
Right. Very asinine thinking. Right. But at the same time, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of that. I'm like, a person who doesn't understand a black person, I can see where he would put those two together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not that left field, but it's still a left field topic. I mean, a left field comment to think that that's going to be the connection.
It's disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful.
It's
honestly, very
disrespectful. That's what my reaction is towards the disrespect.
It's very disrespectful.
And I'm embarrassed that after like taking a moment to process what he's saying, I can see some of the things he's alluding to.
Right.
Like I know some of the things that he's saying is true. Like, and I'm not saying that it's influencing black voters, but the fact that we'd spend $400 on a pair of shoes before paying a light bill.
And you know what? People are going on Facebook right now, bro. Since we started this podcast, I started posting things on Facebook. So now, you know, each platform has their own kind of like swag. You know what I'm saying? Like each platform has their, I guess, rules and regulations in a way you kind of like post. Like LinkedIn is very professional. You know what I mean? TikTok is, is more of like videos, funny, throwing a little bit of education. Instagram, you know what I mean? Like and then Facebook is kind of like family. You know what I mean? Like each platform has its thing, right? So to get to my point, on Facebook, right, it's a lot of just like drama. You know what I'm saying? And like in a drama to where it's like neighborhood drama. You know what I'm saying? Like you can go to Facebook and figure out the latest and greatest on your hometown. You know what I'm saying? And so I see these arguments and these fights going on, right? And people going back and forth on Facebook, cussing each other out. But like when a clip like this comes out, nobody says anything. Instead, we talking about what Ice Spice did. You know what I'm saying? Instead, we talking about, what's her name? I don't know why I'm blanking on her name right now. Sexy Red, right? Like we're talking about things that don't matter. We are going and arguing about the podcast right now. The men and women are in this constant battle of relationships, when we have more important things to talk about than just like, oh, they're not submitting or, oh, he's not a high value man. Like I'm tired. I'm exhausted from that. But when you got somebody disrespecting us on Fox News, and it's like, oh, whatever. What's next? Cool. Shade room. I need to get to the shade room. I need to get the baller alert. Like, come on, bro.
Dog's embarrassing.
The man with no shoes was unhappy till he seen the man with no feet. So you sitting around worried about, man, my shoes don't look right. I don't know. That man don't have no feet. Be grateful and thankful for whatever you have, because when you walk out that door, you might not come back. That's why you got to tell people you love them when they walk out that door. You know, we we get caught up into what we don't have instead of appreciating what we do have. But appreciate what you have. Lord is testing you to see what you do with a little before He give you a lot.
I think this clip is honestly very important and very relevant to a lot of things that me and Hassan have been talking about recently, right? I was telling him that like a thing that I started to realize is a lot of people live life as if the next day is promised, the next moment, the next second is promised, right? So it's so easy to put things off. It's so easy to see your disadvantages and sulk in them and allow that disadvantage to become the identity of who you are. But you don't take the time to pursue these goals as if, hey, yo, man, I might not wake up tomorrow. Like, I might not see my friends again. I might not see my family again. Like, I might not have this moment to say this thing that's so impactful that I think is so important because I'm sitting here thinking that the next moment is promised. I see, like he said before, the dude without no shoes thought he was such at a disadvantage till he saw the person without no feet. Everybody thinks that their situation is the worst situation that could possibly happen, yo. We fail to realize that we had 400 years of slavery. People didn't own anything that they had. They got the skin peeled off their back and still made monuments of great things without anything to their own name. But we're complaining about the fact that you don't got no shoes. Granted, that's not a good situation to be in, but we need to stop making our disadvantages our identity. Our identity is getting more. Our identity is making life better. Our identity is setting a plateau or setting a pinnacle that becomes the new standard. I said in one of my speeches for Black History Month that I realized my worth on this earth, and my reason is that my pinnacle of success should become the new standard. It shouldn't be a pinnacle to be looked at like, dang, I hope I reach those heights. It should be the starting point. So we need to stop looking at these disadvantages and making it seem like life is promised to us. We need to start working and working and working and working and working until we get to where we want to be. You don't always get the next second.
Facts. Old player told me, man, if I had your hand, I'd turn mine in. Another one's like, man, if I had your hand, I'd cut mine off. You know what I'm saying? So like he said, like there's also like a kind of like a metaphor analogy, right? Or imagery, would you call it, right? And so they said, hey, man, if you went in a room and you say, all right, everybody throw your problems in a pile. You throw your problems, he throw his, she throws hers, she throws hers, they throw theirs. And then they'll be like, okay, now go pick your problems back up. You will look around and, man, somebody then grabbed your problems and ran off with them.
Yeah, because they happy to have it.
There's somebody out there right now that's happy to have your problems. They'll be thanking God right now if they had the same problems that you had. So stop looking around and looking like, man, I got this going on. I'm not this. I'm not that. I could have been doing this. Man, 10 years from now. Listen, man, somebody, if they had your problems, they'll be gone when they run off and never hear from you again. Like, and then you go and take their problems. I think Mike Epps had a skit where he was like, he grabbed somebody else's problems and now he can't walk for real. You know what I'm saying? Now he walking with a limp. But like, you actually have to take that seriously. It's arrogant and cocky to think that you're going to have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. Yeah, bro, I'll probably catch you next week, bro. I ain't gonna do it today. Like, I'll just do it. That's cocky and arrogant to think that tomorrow's promised. That's arrogant. That is taking life for granted. You imagine if you live every day like you were dying. If you went to the doctor right now and they said you only have 2 months to live, how would you live your life?
That's crazy. Not to be on the morbid side, but I think of all the times like you get on social media or you hear about the way that somebody died. There's no way somebody went to sleep and thought, hey, yo, I was going to get ran over by a bus today.
That's how I'm going to die.
Or
like,
I'm going to get eaten by a shark on our regular beach day. Like, there's no way nobody went to sleep and thought that was going to be the end, right? But you got to understand that is a possibility. Like, it is a possibility that we walk out this door and we don't see the next day. We don't see the next minute. So why are we still considering or being cocky enough to think that it's always going to be us, like we're the privileged one?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this to look at life like, yo, I can't wait to die or dang, I'm about to die in the next moment. I'm saying it as in, if you got something you going after, you got a dream, you got a family member you ain't talked to, you got a situation that's really weighing heavy on your heart, you don't got the next moment. Make it happen now. Call that person now. Start that grind now. Do that thing now.
Facts.
Because you don't always get the next moment.
You don't have tomorrow, man. You don't have tomorrow.
Women who had their fathers in their lives in an intimate, healthy way. Men who had their mothers in their lives in an intimate, healthy way, they operate in the dating game completely different. If y'all think about the women you dated who had a loving relationship with a biological father, and the women you dated who did not know their father, I'm quite certain you can tell some differences between them. Trust anger, vulnerability, confidence, completely different man and woman. So you need intimacy, that love. Second thing you need, and these are in no order, availability. Was mom present in your life? Was dad present in your life? Was they at the football game? Was they at the basketball game? Did they come to the birthday parties, or were they absent? Did you have parents who abandoned you? So you got intimacy, you got availability, then you also have reciprocity. Did mom and dad do for you, or did you have nothing at all? When your shoes got holes in them, did they get you another pair? You understand that? When you were still hungry at dinner, could you get another plate? Or did you live in an environment of scarcity? So you got intimacy, you have reciprocity, you have availability, and the fourth one was trust. Any trauma we got from our parents, especially the opposite sex parent, we carry over into our dating relationships.
Now, this video shows the importance of having a household and a home that is together, right? As we stated before, like as we've done in the black community, is become the basis of our existence is pointing at the other sex and saying where they fail, where they fall short, right? And I'm not going to say that I haven't been a victim or I haven't been an aggressor of this situation. I've done the same thing. I've looked at a woman and said what she hasn't done, but not looked at myself and seen what I wasn't doing, right? But all of this starts in the household, right? Having that availability of the mother and the father. Like people get so comfortable in this role of, I don't need you to raise my child, or let me lay down with somebody who isn't showing you the availability to be available after the fact of having a kid, right? Like, you got to understand, this all goes into the children, right? So we are just a spitting image of our parents' relationships. We're taking all the trauma from that. We're taking all the dysfunction from that, but we're also taking all the love. We're taking all the lessons. We're taking all of these things from it. So you got to understand how important that relationship is, how important having a father in someone's life is, how important having a mother in someone's life is. We all are experts at different things, and we can't do this separately because obviously we see what it is like doing it separately. We see the type of children that have been raised, right? So when you have those together, you understand the different concepts and you understand the different roles and responsibilities of not just a man, but a woman as well, right? It takes both of you to create a functioning adult.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. It's interesting to see that. Even I think Deion Sanders said it, right? And I like Deion. I'm pro Deion, right? But he had an interesting take, right? And what's also interesting, right, is you can like somebody and not agree with everything they say.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like also, get me on my monologue, right? A lot of times, I'm just saying, the LGBTQ community, right? I feel like if you don't agree with what they said, then you're automatically phobic towards them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have loved ones that I love, not just that are in that community, but that do things that I don't agree with. So just because I don't agree with you or I don't agree with your behavior doesn't mean I don't love you. My parents don't agree with everything I do. I still love them. Mm-hmm. I mean, they still love me and I still love them, and I don't agree with every parenting situation that they handle with me, right? So the same thing is true with my example that I'm about to get a Deion. So I don't want this to get misconstrued and like, oh, well, he's coming at Deion. Like, nah, it's an interesting take for the topic that we're talking about. So Deion says they're like recruiting, right?
Oh, okay.
And he was like, I was looking for the kids with no fathers. Like, I'm looking for the kid with no dad, right? For a specific position. I want to say it was like D-line or something like that, or linebacker on defense, right? Why is that? Because most of the time, children without their fathers in their life are the most violent. You know what I mean? So there's even a statistic that says single fathers that raise their kids have the same likelihood and probability of their child going to jail as a two-parent household. What does that survey say? It says that the father is the most important role in that child becoming violent and going to prison. So you can have a single mother, right? But a single father raising children has the same likelihood of his kids going to jail as a two-parent household. It shows you how important that father is in that child's life, right? And preventing that child from going to prison or going down the wrong path. So to Dr. Umar's point, you can definitely tell a difference. And even with women, right? Sometimes even in the past, I've played into it too. You can tell when a woman has daddy issues, right? Because there's some type of emotional deficiency there that you can play on, you know what I'm saying, and take advantage of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In situations, and there's a difference between females that have fathers in their lives, right? In a good relationship with their father or father figure. They're a lot more confident. You just can't say anything. You can't do anything. They know that somebody there is protecting them and got their back.
Somebody put them on game.
Somebody put them on game. You know what I'm saying? If something go left with you, you know what I mean? Their father's gonna come address you. You gotta ask their father for their hand in marriage. If you got a girl who's doesn't have her father in her life, right? A lot of times you don't have to, when you go to the family house or to her mom's crib or whatever, you kind of assume the role as the most dominant person in the house.
Yeah.
So you can have more of an attitude. You can kind of like control and run things because it's like, who gonna check me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I've also seen that in situations where they don't have to ask for the father's hand in marriage. A lot of times those relationships with those dudes kind of like, that dude kind of like takes advantage of that. You know what I mean?
And you got to understand it goes both ways. Like imagine a man who's never had his mother in his life. A lot of them are emotionally still an infant. They don't have that ability to express it. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that men can't teach men how to express their emotions, but it isn't it's not in your nature, right? That woman gives them that insight on how they're supposed to do that, right? And then when you see them work together, you get more confident children.
Facts.
You get more stable children.
Facts.
You get children who know how to express themselves in a different way. So you have to understand, like, all this pointing fingers at each other, it don't fix the problem.
Right.
The problem starts with fixing ourselves and being better for each other, right?
Absolutely.
Because what we're trying to do is build up the black community. So stop trying to tear it down by pointing fingers and just work on yourself and then work together. And what we build is going to be different.
Facts. Absolutely.
When a man does not feel appreciated in the area of his presence, he becomes a version of a man that he can give you and still survive. And I promise you, you will not like that version. That version of him is silent, frustrated, sharp with his words, short-tempered. How many of y'all been getting that lately? Non-communicative. Because he has to become something that he can survive.
Being in survival mode does not bring out the best in you.
It does not.
Like he mentioned men, but this is also true with just people in general. Most people that are in survival mode don't value another person's life. That's why, like, hey, yo, he in the hood, he gang banging, or he selling drugs, or he doing this and the third. Like, why don't they get it? We need to stop black on black crime. When you have a person that's in survival mode, all they can think about is surviving. So they're willing to take risk and not value another person's life is because they're in survival mode. It's hard to communicate to a person that's thinking of their next meal, their next paycheck, how they gonna feed their family, how they gonna feed their kids, where are they gonna eat, where are they gonna sleep, like where's their next meal coming from? Like they don't have any stability in their life, so they're always in survival mode. They can care less about the next person. They can care less about what you think about them. They can care less about, a person's life and how their family gonna feel and their family's not there, or you being taken away from your family and doing a life bid in jail, in prison, right? So like survival mode, whenever you put a person in survival mode, right, they gonna just come out swinging, right? Like even the bully, right? Like if you keep bullying this one person for so long, eventually they gonna go into fight or flight, right? They gonna get in survival mode. So when they choose that fight, they just gonna come out swinging. So a lot of times men, right, we're not put in a position to where we don't have to be in survival mode in relationships. So women, y'all aren't getting the best version of ourselves because we're just giving you what we think will allow us to sustain and survive for the long term.
And another big thing, right, is stop taking advantage of people's comfortability. Stop taking advantage of people's vulnerability. Stop taking advantage of people's emotions. Stop taking advantage of people's situations. Because I think the worst type of survival mode is when you were once not in it. When you were pushed in that survival mode. If you've been in your life the whole time and you've lived in survival mode your whole time, that's kind of who you are, right? But once you get comfortable and you have that vulnerability or you have that ability to express yourself emotionally, to kind of take a drawback, to relax and to sit down, and then somebody takes full advantage of that and they hurt you, the survival mode you go into is one that is very hard to be pulled out of, right? Because now your survival mode isn't looking for comfortability. Your survival mode is showing you that there is no comfortability. You can't trust comfortability because you got comfortable in it one time, and the one person that gave you the opportunity, or the one person you made an exception for to be comfortable, did you so dirty that you don't have the option to go back into that. So you got to understand, pushing people in that survival mode or taking advantage of their communication, taking advantage of their vulnerability is the worst thing that you can do, because it puts them in a type of mode that is so hard to pull out that they push away from everybody around them. You got to learn to be better, and we got to learn to stop taking advantage of the people that we love and care about, and honestly, even the people that we don't know.
Absolutely.